Week 1's just around the corner. I'm Dustin. Welcome to Fantasy Smack Talk. This is your Week 1 waiver wire. So excited to have football back. Before we get into it though, FanDuel. We're running a private league this year. Click on the link in the description. It's a $5 league. All the experts are going to be in it. It's kind of a beat the experts. You beat us, you win just like you would in a regular cash game, but you're also going to win a sweet t-shirt that says I beat the experts at Fantasy Smack Talk. So you're going to want to get in on that. As long as we're filling up the games, FanDuel is going to keep doing it for us. So we want to try to have that run all year. And if you're not signed up for FanDuel, click on our link in the description down there. Sign up, help us out. So we're doing a few new things this year with the Waiver Wire show. We're going to have cool graphics with the names on there and the players and the percent owned. And we're also going to have a pickup of the week. And this is kind of the guy that, not necessarily the guy that, you know, I think is the absolute best pickup over the guys that I'm going to shoot in the video. And typically I say no one over 75% owned is going to be in the video, but just kind of the guy that's the most exciting pickup. So the pickup of the week for me for week 1 is Kevin White. I mean, this guy, we know he's talented. I mean, we know the hype that was around him coming out of West Virginia. He showed some promise last year before getting hurt again, but he's healthy. Meredith is gone. The pieces seem to be there in terms of the volume that he's going to get. Kevin White, my most exciting pickup of the week for week 1. I think there's some legit potential there. Go snag Kevin White if he's available. So we'll start with running back. I can't talk about everyone or else it'd be a 20-minute long video, but I have everyone ranked kind of in order of where I would pick them up if they were available in my league, more or less, but that's how I have them ranked. So first guy, Jacquizz Rodgers, only on 50% of leagues as of right now. That's ridiculous. He's going to get a real chance to show us what he can do, and there's no guarantee Doug Martin gets his job back coming back from his suspension. So I think that's what everyone's just kind of assuming, is that, you know, once Martin's back, Rodgers is going to take a back seat, but I'm not necessarily certain that's going to happen. Rodgers needs to be owned in more leagues. Jonathan Stewart I want to talk about. He's only owned in 70% of leagues right now. I know he's boring, and I know McCaffrey's there. He's the exciting guy to add, but Stewart's going to get 10+ touches each week, and he's going to get the goal lines. He needs to be owned in more leagues. That's very disrespectful of Stewart not to be owned in any more than 70% of leagues. I do want to talk about Terrence West and Jeremy Hill. They kind of fit a little bit in that same boat. I think, especially at the start of the year, they're both going to be getting 10+ touches and the goal lines for those teams, and they should be owned in more leagues than 65% and 50%. I do want to talk about all New England running backs. If you've been watching our videos, you've been hearing me say it's the Thursday night game. You know, if Burkhead, you know, obviously Gillislee's probably drafted, but if Burkhead, Lewis, or White are available, drop your kicker, pick up one of those guys, and just see what happens on the Thursday night game. If you like it, you keep them and figure out someone else to drop. If not, you drop and pick a kicker back up. But we don't know what's going to happen in New England. We need to see week 1 to see what those running backs are going to do. Move on to some young guys. Marlon Mack, only on a 15% of leagues right now. At some point, the wheel on the Gore bus has to fall off, and Mack's going to be there waiting. And I think, you know, the reports have been positive with him in terms of his upside if he gets his shot. I want to talk about Jonathan Williams out there with Buffalo, the handcuff from McCoy. There's a chance I think the Bills might move on from McCoy at some point this year. I know they shot down the trade rumors when they first started to pop up, but the Bills are not in win-now mode. And just, I think if they're confident in Williams, and McCoy could even get injured. So I think Jonathan Williams, only on 10% of leagues. I think McCoy owners need to really think about adding Williams, just as he's a solid handcuff at this point. And then I want to talk about Chris Carson as well. He's out there with the mess with Rawls, Lacey, Procise. I do think he is the legit 4th string running back right now. So it's like, okay, why would I pick up a 4th string running back? Lacey, not that confident in. Rawls' injury history and Procise's injury history. There's a legit chance Carson gets his chance here to show us what he can do. Now, I did have Rawls up here on the list before just because I think if Rawls stays healthy, he's the best running back out of the 4. Just because I don't think Lacey is the same running back anymore. But Rawls has his injury stuff as well. So I think Carson is definitely a high upside running back to add to your bench. It just as a flyer. Let's take a look at wide receiver. I want to talk about Adam Thielen. He is owned in 75% of leagues, which isn't bad, but I think this guy has legit potential to be a wide receiver 2 this year. They're saying he's going to play more in the slot, which I think fits his style. Adam Thielen should 100% be owned, I feel. I just think he's getting disrespected a little bit right now. Ted Ginn I want to talk about. I just really like that situation with him out there in New Orleans. I think he's going to be hit or miss, but at the end of the year, I think he will be a wide receiver 3. I think his touchdown totals will be decent. He's only owned in 55% of leagues. Moving on, I want to talk about Robbie Anderson. He's the only one left. I mean, there's not much out there in terms of pass catchers for the Jets. McCown, you're not that excited about him at quarterback, but at least you know, at least you have a veteran back there, and he's going to at least be able to maybe manage the game. I don't know, but Anderson, I think too many people are just straying completely away from that offense, but they're still going to throw the ball. There's still going to be completions, and they got to go to somebody. So Anderson, I think, should be owned in more than 20% of leagues. And then Cooper Kupp, I think, is interesting out there with the Rams. You know, Goff's looked a little bit better, and Kupp is interesting. I think he's a guy that could definitely kind of prove to be Goff's safety net, a guy where he can do a lot of kind of wide receiver screens, just get the ball in his hands and let him create. I think he's a very interesting, rookie receiver that could have some fantasy impact this year. Tight end, I got a couple for you. Eric Ebron, only on 75% of leagues. He's been a little banged up, but I truly do feel he's going to get more red zone targets. Bolden's gone. I think this is the year Ebron breaks out. I think legit tight end 1 potential, which means he should be owned in more than 75% of leagues. And then Julius Thomas out there with Miami. There's just potential there, I feel, just on that offense. It just seems like they're headed in the right direction. I don't completely trust Cutler, but I just think they got the running game going. Parker looks like he's going to have a decent year at receiver, and I just think Thomas could be a borderline tight end 1 this year, but we'll see how that works out. Only on 55% of leagues. A couple quarterbacks for you. Carson Wentz, only on 60% of leagues. I really thought the Alshon Jeffrey signing would get people more excited about Wentz, but he's still being seen as a low-end QB2, and I think it should be higher than that. I think he's a solid QB2 with upside. I think he could, potentially finish in the top 12 out of quarterbacks. I think Carson Wentz needs to be on in more leagues. He's looked decent this preseason. And then Joe Flacco, only on 25% of leagues. I know he's got that injury stuff that's a little bit scary, but the Ravens are going to throw the ball a ton. And it's, again, I think he's being seen as almost a QB3 at this point just because of the injuries, but he should definitely be in the QB2 discussion and should be owned in more than 25% of leagues. A couple of defenses for you. Buffalo going up against the Jets. I know I was just kind of trash talking McCown, or talking up McCown just a tiny bit in terms of just someone's got to catch the ball, but I'm still not confident in that offense in general. I like Buffalo at home against the Jets. They're only on about 30% of leagues right now. And then Atlanta at Chicago, just not that confident in Glennon. Atlanta's only on 55% of leagues. I think there's a good chance for a pick 6 in that one. So that's your week 1 waiver wire. Excited for this season. If you got questions, post them in this video and get into our FanDuel leagues, and we will be back with more videos before the season.